I posted on my story yesterday that you guys wanted to see an everyday or a glam makeup. Most of you guys chose everyday, so I'm gonna do an everyday on Lynn over here. And then I'm gonna kind of tell you guys how you can up it into a glam, if you know what I mean. I'm gonna start off with moisturizer. You always wanna moisturize no matter what kind of skin type you have. This is just the Ultra Repair Cream. Just pat it on with one of these little foundation brushes. So we've been like sitting in the sun for the last couple days, so I'm just gonna spritz her with the MAC Prep and Prime Fix Plus. Okay, so I usually start with brows. I'm just gonna take the Anastasia Dip Brow in medium brown. Since this is like natural glam, we're not gonna go as crazy as the other day because those were some pretty bold brows. We're just gonna start towards the end and fluff it up. I like to define Lynn's arch a little bit more. Okay, and then once you do like the tail end, you can bring like whatever's left on your brush in the front so that's not too harsh. Okay, look. Okay, so that one, and then you can see this one's more filled in straight. You just see they're a little bit more defined without being crazy. Okay, I'm using, mine's like completely rubbed off, but it's the Maybelline Fit Me concealers. Those are great, and the NARS Creamy Radiant, those are my favorite. Use them all the time. Just gonna carve out the brow. Holy shit, my face is like don't have to go crazy with this. Honestly, sometimes if I'm just doing like a quick makeup look on myself, I don't do brows first. I don't even carve them out. I just slap them on there. Especially if you have like really full brows, you don't have to like go this extra mile, but.
Damn, oh baby, you could cut some butter with those brows.
Oh my god. Okay, and I use these little Real Techniques beauty blender things. They're just sponges, but you have to get the product on the sponge first because otherwise it's just gonna soak up like a lot of this. So I'm just gonna spot conceal like certain areas. There's not like much, it's just like little ones that look like. Okay, so I just spot concealed a few like little spots that are a little bit more red than like the others. And okay, we're gonna go back into the eyeshadow. I'm just gonna use this fluffy little blending brush. I'm gonna set the lid with just like a skin tone color shadow. This is just to prepare your lid for other shadows so everything blends nicer. Okay, I'm using like the James Charles palette just. Alright, so we're gonna take Punch Me, it's a little brown shade, and we're gonna tap it right in the outer corner. We're gonna use this as our crease shade. The reason why for most parts I do eyeshadow first is because if you use like any crazy colors or certain shadows have like a lot of fallout, it's gonna fall all on your foundation under here. So we just deepen the crease a little bit. It's really not like anything crazy. I'm gonna go back in with a deeper brown shade. It's called Tea. You just want to keep the deeper colors on the outer corner. Well, at least for this look we're doing today. This is probably as deep as I'm gonna go for today because we're not really doing anything, and for like an everyday look, you don't need anything like crazy unless that's what you're into. Okay, so it's up to you. So for the look I did the other day on Lynn, I went deeper into the crease. I used these two colors, and then I darkened it with a black in the outer corner, and then I did a little cut crease. So I took it, close for a sec. So I took it right in here, and I went halfway, cut the crease, and then put like a gold shadow right on the inside, and then put like a more bronze shadow towards the outside. we're not gonna do that today, but that is what I did the other day, in case you guys were wondering. I had a few people asking. So I'm gonna take 10% off and just warm this up a little bit. I don't want it to be like too crazy. For Lynn's eye shape, I like to keep everything towards the outer corners. Mostly because it like lifts her eye, gives her like that cat eye effect. If you bring the shadow more towards the inside and make it darker on the inside, it'll make your eyes more round. So it just depends on what look you're going for, but I usually do like a more cat eye look for Lynn. Okay, I'm gonna be just about done with the eyes for Lynn for that, because I'm not gonna put any shimmers on her lid. Personally, I don't usually use shimmers on an everyday basis. Okay, so I'm gonna go back in with no beans.
Such a stupid name.
It's just like a brown, like a darker brown color. It's right here. It's a little bit more dark in person, but we're gonna line the lash line with this. If you want it to be a little bit more like glam, you can use just a black liner or a black shadow, but we're just going soft today. I usually start right on the outside, and it's gonna be a little like messier. And then as you bring it in towards the inside, I get it closer and closer to the lash line. Okay, we're gonna do something a little different. I'm just gonna take this little, it's like not black, but it's not completely brown. It's like
Benny.
right in the, okay, it's Benny. It's right in the middle. We're gonna do the little smoky wing. Okay, close. Okay, for like wings and stuff, I usually, look down. I usually take it from right where this corner is. You're gonna bring it up towards like where the brow would end, which would be here. So you wanna use that line to create your wing. And then if you're doing it on a client, have them look up and just see, like look straight ahead. Have them look up and see where that wing should go, and then you can have them close and connect it. Wings are hard, but just takes practice. Okay, so I'm gonna take, this is just like a Neutrogena face wipe. Those are my favorites. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna have her look down for a sec. I'm gonna use this to just cut the line of the wing. So it's like a nice crisp line. You guys don't have to like do all of this. You could just stop. You don't even have to do the wing part, but we're just doing it. Then I just use it to clean up anything that fell out. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with this little primer real quick. It's the Pores No More Luminizer Primer by Dr. Brandt. It's really good if you have dry skin, but like not too dry. Lynn doesn't have like crazy dry skin, but I'm just gonna use this brush again that I used for the moisturizer. I just pat it right over here and right in the center, right down like your T-zone. You don't need a lot of this, so don't go overboard, but I'm just gonna spritz her again with this Prep and Prime real quick. Fix Plus. We've been sitting in the sun all day, so you literally cannot use enough of it. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with these NARS foundations. They're the Natural Radiant Longwear foundations. These are shades Salzburg and Stromboli. I'm just gonna mix them 50-50 because she is like right in between them. I like to mix these and like apply it with a brush and then kind of blend it out with a beauty blender. If you guys are like not trying to buy that foundation, the Maybelline Fit Me foundations and the matte and poreless, those are really, really good. I highly recommend them. I've used those on Lynn like 100 times. So I just have to. You guys want to make sure, even if the foundation matches pretty well, you still want to like blend it down her neck a little bit. Because nobody wants that crazy ass line. When I'm blending it down the neck, I just use the Beauty Blender because this is like for coverage and this is like to take a little bit of coverage off almost. So I'm not trying to like coat her neck in foundation, but except for you also don't want to be swiping. If you're like using any tools really, it's best to pat it because you want it to soak into the skin. You don't want to make like some crazy lines or anything like that. I'm gonna go back in a minute to sharpen up the brows around the top to blend it into the foundation because you don't want to mess up any lines by blending too close. I'm gonna go back in with concealer now. I'm gonna use a mixture, it's still the Maybelline Fit Me concealers. I'm gonna use a mixture of Fair Clair, which is 10, and Light, which is 15. If you use the wand that comes in with the regular concealer, you just put it on and then you just blend it out with a sponge or a brush, whatever floats your boat really. Look up for a sec. But even if you're using a brush, you always want to tap everything in. Tap, 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 tap. And for like Lynn's face shape, everything has to do with like your own personal face shape. For Lynn, I keep it right where her nose starts, and then I bring it up towards this way. I like to keep it right here. Lynn's cheekbone, I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but her cheekbone is right here. You want to keep the concealer, well for Lynn at least, right on top of it. You don't want to go below her cheekbone at all because that'll drag the face down. You want to keep this lifted, and since we did the whole like cat eye shape, we want to like continue that and keep it going, you know. So all right, turn. Okay, and then I put a little bit right here, just a little bit, don't need a lot, just to even it out more, and then I put it right down the nose. If you guys are gonna do like a full-blown contour, a nose contour, make sure you're using the concealer to highlight the center of the nose, not just contouring the edges, because the concealer is what's gonna. Okay, and then going back in with our sponge to blend this out. I want to make sure if you're doing this on yourself, you are looking up at this part, because otherwise it's just gonna crease. And okay, so I'm just taking this little fluffy brush. I put the RCMA like translucent powder on it. So I'm gonna have her look up. I'm gonna blend out any creasing that happened, and then right away go in with the loose powder. And you guys like don't have to use these exact products, obviously, just use what you got. These are just like what works best in my kit and like with what I do, but definitely don't. Okay, I also go in and blend this part out because a lot of people, most people including myself, have like smile lines that occur, so you want to set your smile lines as well, because throughout the day you're talking and stuff like that, it's going to crease even if you don't have it. Then I just take like some translucent powder on like the sponge we've been using. I'm just going to set the whole face with this. I like to use a sponge with the translucent powder, well, especially because like today we were sitting out in the sun, so our face is pretty dry. So the sponge will add a little bit more moisture without like drying the heck out of your face with all this powder. But it is like pretty important if you're gonna wear this makeup like all day to set it with some sort of powder, because otherwise it will melt off your face. And if you have dry skin, you're like afraid to use the powder because it gets cakey. That just comes down to your skin prep and stuff. If you're not prepping your skin properly, it's not going to be able to, it's going to like look cakey basically. Okay, so I'm going to use the Hoola bronzer. It's by Benefit. I take it right, so turn for that way for a sec. So you're gonna take it right where the top of your ear like meets your head here. You're gonna take it, the line starts and it's gonna go to the corner of your mouth. You don't wanna take it all the way to the corner of your mouth. You wanna keep it right, almost halfway. I'd say almost where like your eye would start. Because if you keep it to your mouth, if you bring it all the way to your mouth, it's not gonna lift your face, it's going to drag it down. You want this to be like almost a shadow for your cheekbone. And then you always want to go under the chin, cut that jaw. And then I bring it on the forehead too. I love a good forehead. Okay, so you can see it looked like that way a little bit. It just like gave a little color to her face. To go in with a highlighter, I'm using the Becca Moonstone. It's a really nice shade, but if you're any darker than Lynn, it's probably gonna be too light for you. So you're just gonna keep it on the high points of the cheek, right above where you just put that contour. I don't like do a harsh contour on an everyday. I usually just do highlighter, bronzer, and blush. Okay, so look this way. You can see it's like a little, it's just a little something. Do the nose a little, and then I'll take a little tiny brush, dip in there. I'm gonna do right under the brow. Brow highlight is necessary, okay? Okay, we're also just gonna go in with this blush. This is my favorite blush like ever. This is the Milani Luminoso blush. It's really just like nice and subtle, nothing crazy, but it really just like gives you a nice little flush of color to your cheeks. So just give you a little. I also like to do a little bit of blush on your forehead because if you're thinking about it, the blush is just adding color to your face. So if you're like sitting in the sun, it's not like you're just gonna get like a little bit of rosiness on your cheeks and stuff. It's gonna go everywhere. So I like to do it on the forehead. I like to do a little bit on the nose and a little bit on the chin. Nice and glowy.